Welcome. I'm Sebastian Mahfood, and you're listening to WCAT Radio, the on-air wing of En Route Books and Media, bringing you the dulcet sounds of Catholic wisdom.
God bless you all. This is Ronda Journal, my radio journal, and I started this about a month ago. And meanwhile, I had a big conference speech in Conway, Arkansas, and so I was away for this for a couple of weeks. What I want to do this week is do more on these short sayings I have that I read each day to meditate on, many of them coming from wonderful spiritual directors of mine. And here's the first one that I have this time. So this was given to me by a pre-spiritual director concerning the crisis in the church. And he said, at age 82, you should be preparing for heaven and just trust only in God the Father. Don't try to figure everything out. It's just going to drive you crazy. So I try to do this. I try to minimize the amount of news I read about the crisis in the church. My best source is Raymond Arroyo on EWTN the world over. When he has interviews with other people about that crisis, I find that it's what they say is very helpful to trying to discern things. Now, another one that every spiritual director has told me is that I analyze people too much. And one of them said to me, analyzing people is a way of trying to be superior to them. It comes off as you're trying to be superior. And that's a very interesting thing, which I never thought of. See, I think I'm analyzing people because I want to understand them in order to pray for them better or to have a better relationship with them. But everything has many motives, and one of them could be that I feel a little afraid of them, that they reject me someday. So in the meantime, I'm analyzing them in order to defend myself, so to speak. And that's not good. I should just take every relationship that I feel anxious about and surrender it to God and trust that He will bring good out of it in one way or the other. Here's one I especially like. Don't do and push, but receive and respond. From years of being a professor, of course, you have to do and you have to push to a certain degree, but that also comes from my New York City pushy background, and I have to let that be transformed by Christ. I can't just say, well, Jesus, you know I'm a pushy person because I come from New York City. I have to say, wouldn't it be better, especially at this retired time of my life, to mostly be receiving and responding? Because after all, in heaven, I won't be doing and pushing, but I'll be receiving and responding, right? Okay. Now, one of the things I realized is that I tend to think that Jesus is only there when I pray to Him. Of course, I realize he's always there in the metaphysical, ontological sense of God is everywhere. He's omnipresent. But for me, as if he's only there when I pray for him, to him. And instead, I should say to Jesus, I know you're always present. Now, please please use your presence to transform me moment by moment. See what I mean? I think you probably do. A thing that helps me very much with praying for my adult children and grandchildren is thinking, with the mercy of God, someday we will all be together forever. Like many people I know, Our families are spread out all over the country, sometimes all over the world, and we're always missing them and feeling we wish we were all closer. But we're going to be together forever with Jesus if everyone turns to him to receive that gift of his eternal love. Also, I need to be closer in prayer to Jesus moment by moment, hour by hour, day by day, because I need him to tell me what to do. Now, tell me what to do. I don't mean an audible locution, though those are wonderful when they come, but those are rather rare. But he does speak to me in my heart when I do talk, when I do open to him. For instance, he very often just says, slow down, because I always get agitated when I do things quickly. I mean, simple household things. The quicker I do them, the more agitated I become. Another one is don't interrupt and override. I think that's a teacher's tendency. That, you're used to students asking long questions. As soon as you figure out what they really mean, then you stop them and start giving your little paragraph lecture on that subject. So I tend to do this now in retirement, and people find it very, very annoying. Another one that many directors have told me is don't talk so much about the bad. And in my book, Way of Love, which I teach, I have this 100-day marathon where you work on different things, including conversation, having loving conversations. And you can make a scorecard of all the things you say and look and see, as I sometimes do, okay, I'm saying too many bad things, like talking about bad things in politics, bad things on the road, the bad weather, this one's bad traits, etc., instead of all the good things which are beautiful around me and the good things in other people. Now this brings us to St. Augustine's famous statement, hate the sin, love the sinner. So it's not wrong to hate, say, that abortion is going on. That's not wrong to hate abortion, but it's wrong to hate the sinner. We should love the sinner because many of these sinners, through the prayers of pro-life prayer warriors outside on the sidewalks, some of the worst ones have converted and become pro-life heroines and heroes. So that's true, of course, of St. Paul. So he was killing Christians, and then he became one of the best Christian saints ever. So I have to remind myself when not just in speech or writing, but in my thoughts, am I vilifying other people? The way one person put it years ago was, don't hard-boil people in their sins. Don't assume they're so hardened in their sins they can't change. Of course, we tend to think that way, but we don't need to think that way. If Jesus thought that way, God would have just demolished the whole world. And he probably would have done it at the time of the flood. Okay. Here's one that's very intriguing from one of my mentors. Don't glamorize evil to make a thrilling story. Okay? So I love to talk. I'm a speaker. I'm a writer. And I can almost enjoy hearing about bad things if I can figure out a way to make them fascinating. So that glamorizes evil, as this mentor said. So you could think about that. Let's see. sometimes I think, well, the next step, okay, the first step in trying to be holy is to accept whatever God permits. Not his perfect will we have to always accept because it's always something good, obviously good, but he permits a lot of bad things to happen to us, including physical sufferings and all kinds of things. And so I'm getting better at accepting God's permissive will because I worked on this book with Al Hughes called Escaping Anxiety on the Road to Spiritual Joy. And he was my spiritual director, and he got me into looking closely about constantly saying all through the day, I accept your permissive will, no matter what it is. Now, I have a daughter who's suffering with indolent lymphoma. It's long cancerous disease for 5 years with lots of pain. And the way she puts it is she tries to just think of each day as a box, and there's only so much in the box for each day. So if she concentrates on getting through that day, that's better than looking into all the boxes in the future. So anyway, so the next step after accepting God's permissive will is almost all the saints actually wanted to suffer more, to be what's called a victim soul, being with Jesus, suffering and praying with that suffering for the redemption of others. A particularly huge example would be Padre Pio with the stigmata, suffering every day most of his life with this terrible pain and a bleeding stigmata. So I kind of dream about this, but this mentor said, instead, just more and more accept the suffering God sends, because it might not be God's plan for me to be a victim soul. So, I may be just too weak, for instance. Okay. So those are some sayings. Here's a few more. Let God do with my family as he pleases, offering grief and anxiety as a penance for them. See, all this grief and anxiety about family members who seem to have rejected either Jesus or God himself or the church, or all this, that we have to offer that as a penance for them, that suffering that is for us, because the way I put it is they seem to be rejecting the best thing we ever gave them if we're strong Catholics. Totally different idea is not only move slower, but talk, in musical terms, talk lento, not staccato. So lento is these slow melodies, and staccato is... So I tend to talk staccato instead of lento. I tend to talk in little jerky sentences instead of in a slower, more meditative, more melodious way. Someone said, stop scheming to avoid suffering. Actually, Jesus told that to me in my heart. Stop scheming to avoid suffering. See, part of my stressful thoughts all through the day is, how can I avoid this? Like, which shoes should I wear so that I don't get any gravel in my sandals as I'm walking toward the beach? But, there's a normal concern that leads to doing prudent things to avoid unnecessary suffering. But having my mind constantly on this is just making my life much heavier. And all these surrender prayers that people say, one of the themes is that Jesus himself, it hurts his heart when we fret all the time. It's as if we don't believe he's going to help us and bring good out of everything. Avoid sarcasm even in thought and replace with kindness. Now this is one that especially amazed me that someone told me. I was going to, in Corpus Christi, Texas, where I was living, I was going very often to a mass just walking distance away from my house that had contemplative nuns having a convent with a mass there. And I decided I wanted to speak to the superior to see. She looked so calm and peaceful all the time, to see what she might tell me would help me. And she listened to my staccato, back and forth explanation of my usual state of mind. And she just looked at me and she said, "Kill the ego." Okay. So, of course, you know what that means. So that means not be always thinking I've got to get my way and how can I get my way and do these people like me enough and do they maybe are going to reject me and all this sort of stuff. To just try to push away such thoughts, surrender them to Jesus, and spend more time in adoration prayer, especially in letting him make me more peaceful. Okay. I think, let's see. I think I'm going to stop now, even though it's very short, but it's filled with very important thoughts, and come back to you again next week with more of these one-liners. Bye. God bless you all, and remember, you could always email me if you like. It's my name backwards, so to speak. My first name first, Chervin Ronda @gmail.com. And I'll be happy to answer your email if you have anything you want to either share or ask. God bless you all.
We hope you enjoyed the program and will join us back for another show on WCAT Radio. This is Sebastian Mahfood. Good day.